queens, and gentle Xenos, coming to you live from Rick Priestley's luxurious mansion. This is the #1 Tyranid shit show on the internet, the Creature Conference, and here is your host, Mr. Pink.
Hello and welcome to another installment of the internet's #1 Xenos shit show, the Creature Conference. I'm your host, Modern Synthesis, otherwise known as Mr. Pink, and I am joined by my dear companions, Hydra. Want to say hello, Hydra?
Hello, everyone.
Right, and Flynnhammer. Want to say hello, Flynn?
Hello.
Hello. Thank you both for joining me this evening. And we got a couple of things we want to talk about this evening, which is Flynn has recently attended Salute in England land, and I think he might have some cool stuff to tell us from that. And then Simon has recently not only attended but hosted his own Frostgrave event called the Crimson Veil. And surprise, surprise, I was a sneaky little ninja, stole off to Germany last week, and made it in time to ambush him just before this event. So I also participated in this event. So bit of an inside job here, but I just thought it might be interesting to talk to Simon about how he came up with the ideas for it and like what he thought of the event and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, though it's like technically a Frostgrave event, it's a campaign. It's like a narrative campaign. So it's a narrative event that Simon cooked up. So that I think that kind of stuff could be helpful for other people thinking of doing narrative events. Yeah, so I think it'll be probably pretty interesting. And then, of course, we'll talk about random hobby happenings, other stuff that's come up. Sure, there will be some mention of female custodies. Don't mention female custodies! I did it once and I think I got away with it, but don't do it again! Yeah, so yeah, we'll see what's going on. But first, to get us started, we need to answer the question that everyone's wondering at the beginning of each episode of the Creature Conference. What part of Rick Priestley's palatial mansion are we coming to people from this week? Flynnhammer, what do you think?
So, just based on recent experience, I think we're coming from his perfume laboratory. He makes up his new perfumes. You know the candles that Games Workshop released? Yes.
Oh, yes.
Rick Priestley developed the smells.
Sorry, Rick Priestley invented the smells for them?
Yes, he invented the smells.
Oh, wow. So I think it's his perfumerie. It's the word for it. Either that or his perfumerie or his laboratory, where he's got all his chemicals mixing up.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Flynn.
Nice.
Simon, I'm seeing what you're working on, and I want to work on mine too, but now I got to figure out where the heck I put it.
Yeah, although he's not with us, I'm doing some work on the commission of a big fat undersea frog monster thing. I have been on and off working, but I feel like I started this year with the intention to catch up things that I quotation marks needed to do.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and at some point I think I failed.
You haven't failed yet. The year's not over yet.
Oh, that's right. But yeah, I got this new commission in the meantime, and now that red veil is over, who has swallowed all of my free time for I would say a month, a little more. I am I've set sails to finish the things that I have left off before. For example, casting stuff for the Solstice event. I have finally come back to it, and I'm there's new resin in the pot, and they're just like 10 casts more to be done. So I hope for them to be over, I don't know, next 2 weeks or so. I don't want to make promises, but I'm hoping to get things done. I would say by the end of May, every puzzle should be in the air.
Sweet. That's pretty good. I got some stuff of my own I got to get back to now that I'm not distracted by trying to infiltrate Germany anymore.
Like the sneaky little git that you are.
Yeah, so hold on. I really need to find this box, and then I will tell the story. Flynnhammer, do you want to kick us off by talking about your experience at Salute?
Yes.
Well, first
That
of all,
is
tell
my-
people what Salute is, because I have a very vague notion of it, because I pay attention to a lot of junk. But for those people who are not in the UK, may not be familiar.
So, Salute, it has been going for 51 years. It is the largest independent wargaming convention in Europe. So,
Wow.
they get loads of different stalls, vendors, independents, all come down to there. So, it's not just your Warhammer. You've got Frostgrave, you've got independents. So, you've got people who've been doing it for years. They put on some panels with people from the community. You've got people who've been there for years, such as like there's Fenris Games. You've got Rogue Hobbies was there with Louise. There was loads of people, so it's not just limited to your normal 40k. Even the Titan owners clubs were there,
Oh,
which I will touch on later. So I got there for when it opened. So being British, we do love a good queue. So a lot of people were queuing an hour before it actually opened. So they actually opened it up an hour earlier, so everyone can queue. And also they have goodie bags with freebies in there. So if you're
nice.
lucky, you can get a freebies in there. So because I went with my brother, we've got 2 goodie bags. Now some of the freebies they split over certain goodie bags, so not everyone got stuff. But I got one of the War Mag little example boxes, which is the smallest thing you will ever see that you could fit about 2 miniatures in.
That's
They gave
cool.
so it's basically one of the really simple, really useful storage boxes, and it's got like a magnetic sheet in there. It's got 2 magnets that you can stick on a base, so you can move you guys. The Salute miniature for this year, which was pirate themed, and that was actually, if I'm correct, designed by Bad Squiddo Games, who specialize in doing female miniatures, many from historical of historical importance. So they actually are really good. When I went to them last year, I really got a good chat with them. This year they were just flooded, which was brilliant to see.
Did they are those who make those what's that, most dangerous line?
I don't know if they do the most dangerous line, but it is Bad Squiddo. What I really should do is put some of
Okay.
these in the chat actually as well at the same time, because obviously
Yeah,
there's
then
loads.
don't mind me asking stupid things.
Oh no, it's a good one because I can't remember because it was like a blitz around I did. I'm
Yeah.
gonna throw these in the chat. Like Tom Wilson knows Annie, who runs uh Bad Squiddo Games. She's really friendly. Spoke to her last year and I asked her about if she was going to do it like a female giant because there's not many female giants. She loved, a lot of places would love to do those sort of things, but it's just the miniatures, the time to design it and everything. Their return isn't going to be as much for it, or they might not make any. You just slot them together, and then if you want, you can glue them together using wood glue, or you can just collapse them back down. And then, just as Tom Wilson just said, he knows Annie's flatmate. Maybe we can have some sort of connections there, Tom, with sponsorships or something for Nick. That would be fun. So with the IKEA, there was actually someone who had I can't remember the name of them, but they had a table stall which was connected flat pack, so it actually built the terrain. The whole board was the terrain, so you had like a hill or like a cliff face built out of MDF flat pack terrain, which looked amazing. I didn't really go over to speak to him because my plan was just get in, go to the stores I wanted to go first.
Sorry, guys.
Then
I'll be gone for 10 minutes. Okay, I'll be back.
Okay,
okay.
I'm still here. Sorry, I found my thing. I was trying to find my thing.
Yay! And just walked around looking at all the different stalls.
Yeah.
One of them, which is annoying because I was just gone, guy was signed up to his mailing list and you got a free 3D printed like either a gnome or like a goblin riding a snail,
Whoa.
which is there's loads of freebies there, which I obviously took full advantage of. The snail guy was called Cataphract Games.
I think I've heard of them.
Yeah. So I'm going to type their name into chat.
Nice.
Games. There we go.
I liked your joke about IKEA terrain. That it's all
Yeah.
just like flat pack popped together.
I've never heard anyone else call it that, and it's such an easy name for it.
Mm-hmm. And like, listen, you can paint MDF terrain up very well if you try, but you can also just put it out wood colored and hope for the best.
It's perfect if you're doing like a construction scene. It's the right color already. You've got the rust stains. Perfect. One place I definitely want. I went and picked up the new. Well, not the new, but I heard about Army Painters speed paints. They've actually got metallic speed paint, so I've picked them up to see what they're like.
I think we might have had those at my FLGS.
Yeah.
I thought he was trying to show them to me for something.
Yeah. Because I've always thought that would really make it easy just to get a lot of my stuff painted because I've got way too much. But there was so many other places that I've just stopped by, and a lot of places had like discounts on the day or their websites. There was one place which was really interesting that I wanted that you might be. They do like print on demand stuff, so like dice trays, table mats, and a lot of places did that as well. There was one that actually said they did specific dice trays and stuff, and
cool.
A lot of places doing like larger miniatures and stuff. Which is one of the places was Fenris Games. Oh, I have a good chat with the guy because they actually have a plague giant that I saw on eBay about a year or two ago.
But like their own version of it? This isn't like some like...
It's their own version of a plague giant.
Yeah.
And I was just looking in the stall. I just had a quick look and just saw it as I walk. I just saw that box looks a bit different. It's not showing up what it is, and I was like, "Oh, let me have a look at that." And I was like, "That's the giant." I just picked it up and went straight to pay.
Good.
And had a chat with the guy, and he showed me they've got another giant coming soon, which is one of the ones I showed him as my story. And I had a good chat with him. Then I went to a couple of the panels. There was a panel which was the Great British Make-Off, which they didn't really give much context to it.
Yeah.
Turned out it was just like a terrain building one, but you had 52 miniatures, Bill Meg stuff, Encounter Terrain, Louise Rogue Hobbies, and I can't remember the other person, but the other person, they had to do something pirate themed. They brought basically a pirate ship with baby doll legs. So not like your Barbie legs, but you know the big baby dolls. Those legs on it. It was the freakiest one there. It looked amazing.
Cool.
Then there was like
was this a thing where they were like bashing it in person, or had they bashed it before and it was a competition?
Bashed it before and brought it in. So some was like terrain pieces, but that's what I thought it was. They didn't really say it. Then they had like another panel right afterwards, which was sculpting miniatures.
Yeah.
Now I thought it was going to be like them talking about.
You remember who did that?
Miniatures. I kind of did leave within about 10 minutes of it because they started talking. It was mainly talking about 3D sculpting miniatures.
Oh my
But
lord. Like, okay, I
oh,
guess that's a valid way to sculpt miniatures, but I feel like you should put that in your title. You should be like computer sculpting miniatures or something like, or maybe we're just
there
old
were
and maybe that's what
no,
everyone assumes when they hear sculpting miniatures. And they're like,
so
what the
they
hell's this
actually
green crap?
so they did have some other people there as well. So but they were mainly started to focus on like it was like the panels were 45 minutes. They had 5 people, and about 3 of them were like 3D sculptors, and only 2 were like physical sculptors. So one of them was it's Paul something. He was on the painting phase.
Not Paul Naismith.
I
Or is it, it's not Paul Naismith, it's Peter Naismith? I don't know, there's someone Naismith.
He was on the painting phase. I can't remember his
Was he an older
name, but he
guy
was
or a younger guy?
older. He used to work for Games Workshop.
It better
I
not
remember
be
he was
Naismith, because he's the guy who invented the Space Marine.
oh no, it's not Naismith. It's yeah,
Not
it was
Paul
the one that
Bonner.
worked. No, not Paul Bonner either. My brain's gonna go. I've completely got the wrong person
It's
now.
okay, check the chat. Maybe the chat is
Paul
like screaming
Hicks.
at you. What?
Paul Hicks. Paul
Paul
Hicks is
Hicks.
what his name
Okay.
was. Yeah, my brain was going Hickman, but I knew it was Hick.
Did you get that from the
So
chat or did you get that yourself?
no, I went and looked.
Oh, smart.
So Paul Hick, and there was someone else who did work for Games Workshop as well, I believe, at the time. But it, I was most of the day there because of my ADHD. I was just chasing like dopamine, like looking around, seeing what else was there. And
Yeah.
after having sat down and with the first panel not being what I thought it was going to be, like a build off sort of thing,
Yeah.
I was kind of like, okay, I kind of want something to pick me up a bit and walk around.
Yeah.
So I ended up disappearing off elsewhere. But okay, one of the people there was Joel Pitt, because they put it on their Instagram for salute of who was there, but some of the stuff wasn't as advertised as well as I would have liked for my own personal bit. But these are people who run this. It's a not-for-profit, people
Yeah.
who are passionate about wargaming as a hobby, taking
Yeah.
part. Speaking of which, there was one thing there which I think you would have, most of us here would have absolutely loved.
Yeah.
And so they obviously at these events they have like taster sessions, so you can experience things. So one of them was you could test painting out, and I was able to test out the two-thin coats range for Duncan's stuff. But that was really busy. One of the other ones is they had a kit bashing area, which was
Cool.
by Griffcon, and it was free to rock up. They had paints, they had clippers, they had glues, everything.
Oh,
They
that's
supplied
awesome.
everything there,
I
and
love
it was
that.
brilliant. I saw it at the beginning of the day when I was doing my first round. Was like, okay, I'll come back to this later, and it was busy the whole day through. And I think that was one of the best things they had there.
Of course, because do you
Because
remember at Games Day back in the day, they used to have that bits bashing box and you could win like a scrap demon or a golden demon?
yeah,
And that was always
they need to
rammed.
bring that back.
Huh?
They need to bring back Scrap Demon.
So good. Like, and it was always like rammed. Like, there's always so many people in it.
Yeah, be one of the best bits. Now, I really enjoyed my time. I actually even went to. They had that art, wargaming in art or art of wargaming. It's the. I'm trying to get the name of it now because it's like a short film, like
Oh, is it the
documentary.
one that
That
Louise
was
did or was participant
yeah,
in?
yeah, art in miniature. That Louise basically presents the whole way through and goes to different people. So you've got Bad Squiddo in there. You've got Barahoth, who does the madness stuff you've seen
Yeah.
on Instagram. They've got loads of different people there, and so I went to watch it. Actually, it was really interesting, and it was actually quite nice to have like a little decompress.
Good.
Like you sit down and you're chilling out, and by that time it was nearly the end of the day,
Yep.
and I decided to have a last look round because all the crowds had now died down.
Yep.
And it was actually one of the first times I could actually see what the Rogue Hobby stand was.
Yep.
Because that was packed the whole way through the day. So you couldn't
Gotcha.
see anything.
Yep.
And one of the stalls I ended up at the end was Warp Miniatures.
Warp?
Warp Miniatures.
Yep.
So they do hand sculpting and casting, as
Mhm.
well as 3D sculpting.
Yep.
So you've got the best of both worlds. So I ended up having a chat with them. And I saw they had a female giant, they had the giantess, as well as some other horror monsters that I think Simon would absolutely love.
Yeah.
And I ended up having a chat with him at the end of the day, and just saying like, I'd love to get the giantess, but it's just out of my budget at the moment. And having a chat with him, talking about it's like, oh yeah, he gets casted by his, I think it's his, one of his business partner's father, or I can't remember the whole bit there, but they were really nice to chat to. And they're chatting him, showing him like, I said, oh yeah, giant is brilliant to add to my collection of giants. And I was just like, oh, what is your collection like? I was like, I just showed him the stuff, and he was like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you, because it's at the end of the day, you gave a discount to me, so I got 10 quid off the actual model.
Oh, sweet. That's really kind.
Yeah, so you never know what is actually going to happen. Because like, it could have been that it's the end of the day, they don't want to carry the boxes back.
You
But
should always tell people how obsessed you are with giants, because then you might get free stuff. Not just you, Flynn, like everyone in the hobby. Like, this is the tip.
yeah,
Always tell people how into giants you are, because they might give you a free one.
Proof. Because I think I've got the largest giant collection in the world potentially. So yeah, I'm not too sure. And then showed it. And the last bit I went to was actually the Titan Owners Club. So they go to lots of events at the UK. They go to a lot of Games Workshop run events as well.
Yeah.
And what they end up doing is they play Adeptus Titanicus, but with Forge World not Forge World Giants, Forge World Titans.
Yeah.
So what they do is they scale everything up by 4, so that you can play the game. So you have the actual models, and you're playing at bigger ranges rather than the normal range, but the bigger guys.
Yep.
And I asked them about like what it would be, because I've got a Lucius Titan, and I've got the certificate for it, but I didn't know if it had already been registered or not.
Oh, do you need to have the certificate to join their club?
Now this is where it gets interesting.
Because, like,
no.
Yeah, I guess anyone could like buy stuff from China and be like, oh look, I'm a Titan owner.
So there are certain requirements of what you need to do.
Yeah.
So you have to like get the pictures, take like the face on side and back of it, like put your name, put the Titan Legion in, put the name of the Princeps or whatever. But you can also submit your Tyrannies and your other Xenos Titans as well. So you can submit a Hierophant, a Harridan, and Hierojules.
You're like, how many submission forms do you have? I got a couple of Titans in my collection.
So what they said, you can just submit it all in one go. You do one submission and put
No,
all the others
I was
in
joking,
there
Flynn, because you have so many like freaking Tyranids. You probably have so many Titans as well. That was the joke.
What I also asked Nick is if they can submit like a scratch built Dom, and they were like, as long as it's not 3D printed, potentially. So I showed them the Domino 3.
Yeah.
And they were like, yes, we would love that.
Fantastic. Let's get an official entry on Titans Owners Club. You got to tell my boy Charles to submit, because he's the owner now.
Yeah. But as I say, it's like they do that stuff for they really want to get more people in. They invited me to sign up and go to their next event.
Cool. Congratulations.
So I don't know if I'm going to go, just because of I don't even know what is happening in October for me right now. But
he invited you, Flynn. You got to go.
It's going to happen. I know, but I don't know what's going to happen. I might go. I might not go.
Okay.
Depending on if anything happens, but I would want to go. But I just need to get I think I need to have a look at the Titan, check it out, and they're like, yeah, they just turn up. People borrow other people's stuff and play games. I mean, yeah.
Man, if my old Warhammer buddy who passed away, Ross, was still around, he would love the crap out of this. He would be the head princeps of the Titan Owners Club, because he had a massive collection of Armorcast Titans. So
when I asked about that, they mentioned something, but they mentioned Armorcast, but they didn't really go into much detail about if they used Armorcast or not.
yeah.
But knowing what you told me about Ross's stuff, like I think he most likely would lead the Canadian branch of it.
Yes.
But yeah, Salute was, for me, it was fun, except for one drawback, which most people would be able to figure out. But I did also find out
What?
flannel seems to be the unofficial piece of clothing for wargamers.
What does?
Flannel.
Flannel?
You know, lumberjacks.
Yeah,
like
dude. Okay,
red-
listen. Flannel was basically invented in Canada. Yeah, I know flannel. I didn't hear you for a second.
Yeah.
I was gonna
So
say
that's
that
the thing.
flannel is the Canadian tuxedo, but the Canadian tuxedo is actually wearing denim pants and a denim jacket.
Double denim.
Oh wait, and I think you have to wear a denim shirt under your denim jacket.
Yeah.
I think it's triple denim.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just one of those funny bits with it. I just think it's brilliant. The whole way it worked out. But yeah, most people were wearing flats.
Well,
flannel.
maybe like grunge has come
t-shirt.
back. Like I was a child of the grungy parts of the 90s with Nirvana and all that, so maybe that's come back and that's why everyone's wearing flannel.
But the other good bit was like they had the pirate dress up competition. There was quite a lot of women. There were people bringing their families in. It was a really nice event to go to.
Good.
It's just one of the bits I want to say. If you ever go to one of the events, you get there early.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the stalls, once they've sold all their stock or something, they will just leave. They won't stay around to chat.
Yeah.
Some places will stay the whole day, like Walkminster stayed the whole day.
Yeah.
But also go as early as you can. What I did, I went to the back of the hall first of all, so I could actually have a look at everything down there without getting crowded around. I stayed away from one specific stall because that stall doesn't even deserve to be mentioned on this channel. Nick, I think you already know which
beef.
Sort of
We
one
got
I'm referring
beef.
to. Yes. And so ended up having actually a chance to go into the stalls and not be crowded.
Oh, nice.
As soon as I got down to the front of where the entrance was, because people were still filing in, it was rammed. So I went and had lunch instead.
Smart.
Because it was just people came in, turned left or turned right, and just everything was rammed. You couldn't see anything there.
Yeah.
So it was but also I say is plan what if you go, because they put up what stalls have got. Have a look of what stalls you want to go to.
Yeah, and often like the companies will list on their like Instagram, Facebook, whatever. They'll be like, "We're going to be at Salute. We'll be in stall 63," and like they'll show you on a map where they are. So,
oh yeah,
that's a good thing to check out.
So they published the map ahead of time on their website saying what stalls were going to be there.
Good.
And yeah, there was so many things. I definitely think Simon would love that event.
And you'd say it was well organized?
It's their 51st year of doing it. I think they've got it down to a T of organizing it.
It can run for 51 years and be a shit show, man. Like that happens. Or you could still have notes that you wanted to give them in their 52nd year about how they could be running slightly better. So
the bits I would say is just a bit more of give a bit more explanation of what the panels are about.
Yeah.
Rather than anything specific about the event, because everything else was good. And social media is, I think, where they're lacking. But if you haven't got anyone who's actually experienced in social media,
okay, listen. If you haven't got anyone who's experienced in social media right now, you're living in 2008. Like this, I know there's like being a social media expert for my employer. There's like things to know about social media, but also everyone lives and breathes on social media, especially like Warhammer enthusiasts probably using some social media. So I feel like it's not really an excuse, but I understand that sometimes that's like the lowest priority.
Yeah. I also bumped into General Catastrophe.
Why does that sound familiar?
Because he's on Instagram. He does his Kit Bash Bunker.
Oh, okay.
And he actually had a stall there, which was he had his robot battling game, which actually really interesting. And he also had a kill team trench board for it as well.
Cool.
And he had a sign that was actually rotating as well. Like he actually had the only sign that was there rotating. That was actually all gizmoed up and everything, and actually looked really good.
Wait, this is at miniature scale or at human scale? This rotating sign.
So the rotating sign was human scale,
Okay.
to say the least, but it was between human scale and miniature scale. So it wasn't like a tiny little one, but it was like built for the battle arena.
Okay.
And at the top of the battle arena, there was like the TV with like a space and everything else. It's just I can't really get the right words for it, but it was really
Okay.
good. And I had a good chat with him as well.
Good.
Yeah, I'd definitely say if you're in
He's
the
German,
area-
right?
No, he's from Somerset.
Oh,
The German part
Yeah.
of England.
The cider drinking part of England.
Oh, definitely not German then.
Yeah.
Simon, welcome back.
thank you.
Everything okay?
Yes. The little one woke up and I need to cover for my missus going to bed, getting ready, and now she took over again.
I wanted to ask if the littlest one had given you a gift, because your throat sounds a little like you might be dealing with something.
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
Surprisingly, I'm fine. This time I have not screamed here.
You've not screamed here? What?
Yeah, at least until now. Yeah, when someone goes around and hands off gifts, you can scream here.
Ah, okay. As if you want the gift.
Yes.
I see. Okay. No, you sounded a little more, a little deep voicer than usual, but maybe you just got a new mic, or I'm just missing that sweet, sweet baritone.
Aww.
Aww. Flynn, do you have any last thoughts about Salute, or did you get through most of the stuff you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, so I've got through most. It's just there's so much stuff there.
Yeah.
That's what I say. Get there. It's just last year I got there about 12 o'clock. So 2 hours after they'd already opened. Some of the stalls had already gone. So it's best to
And this is because
get
it's a
there early.
one-day event only, right?
Yeah, it's one
Like
day
some
only.
events are usually run for 2 days, but well, I guess not all of them, but yeah, so that is a consideration on like a one-day event. 2-day event, you'd
also
hope they have a little more stock, but do get there early if there's something you really want.
And also talk to the stalls, because you can find out a lot more about them, and they may offer extra things.
They may
Like
offer
one
you
of them-
cheap giants.
but that was near the end of the day. But I would say like other ones were like, one guy can do custom orders. So if you do a large enough order with them, they can do custom orders for certain things at a discounted rate. Otherwise, it's a bit more expensive.
Cool.
And because some of the vendors are there to drum up business themselves. So you can always potentially get like, if you're growing, you could get sponsorships or agreements to work with each other if you're a creator.
Yeah, be an affiliate.
So just have a chat with them and see what you can get.
Keep in mind, though, from my recent experience, if you don't have more than 12,000 followers, they might not have time. Smaller people might have time for you, but the larger people, no. As Hydra found out when he went to a booth, asked them if they were giving out samples, and he was like, how many followers do I need? And they were like, 12,000. But that was an established name.
Yeah. But then, to be honest, you might get that established name, and the other established names would get asked that quite a lot, I think.
Yeah.
It's like even with Games Workshop's program, there was like a threshold people would need to have. But if you were saying you were selective for a specific area, then they may lower the threshold, because
Yeah.
Without trying to be, this is not fair. I've seen people with smaller followings than myself, and I've got the smallest following out of all the four of us. And
Yeah.
they've gotten deals, but the deals they've gotten, they've got, I think, for specifics that they've got them for, but they could have followings elsewhere that we're not aware of because
Yeah,
we mainly
like
focus on
TikTok
Instagram,
or like
Twitter,
yeah.
or other places. So you never know. You just always say, have a chat, see what you can do.
Well, yeah, I always feel like when I approach people like that, I kind of feel like cheap, like being, hey, I have followers somewhere, and blah
I have
blah.
followers somewhere. Oh,
Yeah.
hold on, my
I
camera's...
wouldn't say like go up to them and ask for them like, what do you do for this? It was just like I was just having a general chat with Warp Miniatures because they had this weird looking monster in the cabinet which looked amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So same with like the Fenris Games, ended up having a good chat with them because of the giant that they had and everyone. And they did like, if you made some places, if you do purchases, they give you other free stuff. So I've got a Jurassic Park Eat the Rich sign to paint up at some point.
Jurassic Park Eat the Rich.
Yeah.
Okay, so my camera is being a dingus. I'm trying to get it to reinitialize, but let's see. Maybe I gotta get rid of this. Yes. Simon, you're back.
Yes.
Did you want to start talking about the Crimson Veil?
Oh yes, we can.
So you kind of, like, anyone who's been following the Creature Conference for the last couple of weeks or months or whatever, you've probably seen Hydra working on stuff for the Crimson Veil, right?
Yes.
Why is it so big? So yeah, the Crimson Veil. So tell them about the run up for the event. Give a quick summary for folks, anyone who hasn't been paying attention in recent weeks when you've been working on it. And then we'll go for the actual. Then we'll talk about the actual weekend. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right.
So to make long story short, I turned 40 last year, and my beautiful wife decided that it was a good idea to surprise me with a group of my friends being able to hang out a full weekend. For that, she rented us a house. And she tried to find a spot that would suit, that would be not too far away from all of us. So everyone had to travel a little. Aside from Nick, he had to travel a little further, but that was unknown at that point.
Well, if you're planning to find a place that was equidistant with me involved, you'd have to resurrect Atlantis or do it on like the Azores or something.
Well, that could be a cool place to hang out.
Iceland?
Azores.
Or Iceland, maybe.
Or Iceland, yes. So it was. She's been really a surprise maker in all of this, because it started with my birthday, that I wasn't paying much attention to my birthday. It felt to me on the one side like an ordinary day, and on the other side, oh yeah, big 14th birthday, thing, and I had someone, a friend of mine, being like, "Oh, shall we call tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's see. Blah blah blah."
Shall we call? Come over, or like call you to talk to you?
No, call on. Make a call on Discord. He was like, "Oh yeah, it was that board. He was. Maybe we can, talk each other in person tonight." And I was like,
"Okay.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Because I felt I didn't want to, celebrate my birthday big. So I, tried to play it down, and in the end, I agreed to, okay, quickly we can chat for a bit, but then I want to spend time with my wife, and
Oh shit!
yeah,
Simon.
Yeah.
Sebastian's in the chat.
Sebastian's in the chat.
who?
Sebastian.
Sebastian, I think.
Incendiarius?
Incendiarius, I think.
Oh, that would be awesome.
It's not Sable.
It's not Sable, but it's
Sebastian.
Sebastian.
He also says you haven't.
He also says you haven't
Sebastian.
echoed
That might be
Sebastian,
my
that might be
fault.
my
Oh,
fault.
oh shit!
I screwed.
Hold on,
Oh shit!
hold on,
Hold on, big time. I screwed up big time.
Big echo. That's what I've been seeing from chat. I got some message me on Instagram saying there's an echo.
Okay. It should be fixed now. The problem is that like my camera situation screwed up, and I had to switch how my camera was coming in, and I chose box cam, which was apparently also had audio. So I think we fixed it. So chat, please let us know if we fixed it this time.
What can't
I'm
box
sorry,
do?
Sebastian.
Can you do camera work?
He says, "Yeah, hi." So I think it's Mr.
Awesome.
Buff all his warband members until they are horrible monsters, and then stride into the middle of the board and smack the biggest thing possible.
Oh yeah. So he was part of that surprise. So I agreed to say, okay, let's hang out for a bit.
Yes.
And then suddenly I was talking to Zebo, and then suddenly more and more people showed up, and I was like, okay, someone staged this.
Yeah.
And in the end, the big surprise was that they said, okay, we're not just hanging out here for your birthday, but we are also going to hang out this one weekend.
Yep.
And because Zina, well, my wife has rented this house for us to hang out, and even my brothers showed up, and that was very lovely. Because I absolutely did not expect them to. Then we quickly agreed. Now here's kind of the meta thought of it. I love to play campaign weekends or
Yep.
campaigns.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, if we all meet at some place, we're not just going to play some random war game. We're going to play a campaign.
Good. I love it.
And so I said, okay, what's the game we can all play? And I quickly thought of Frostgrave, because Frostgrave is easy to pick up.
Yep.
Because my brothers, for example, were there, who have very little tabletop experience.
At that time, but your one brother basically like bought the Frostgrave rulebook, bought all the cards, learned all the rules in the intervening time.
Yes.
That's brotherly love.
Yeah, there was brotherly love.
Yeah,
for
but he's
sure.
Dr. Brother, so maybe that's part of it. He's being prepared in a doctorly way.
Definitely helps.
Every so often on the weekend, he would say something that like, was pretty smart, and everyone would be like, doctor, Anyway, so they all surprised you on Discord. They all jumped on this Discord call that your one friend lured you into, and they told you that you would be celebrating your 40th birthday with them in April of 2024 at this magical location that your wife had found.
Exactly. And from there on, I started planning, and it felt like so much time. You know, when you're told in what was it, in end of November that you will be on a weekend in April, that's lots of time.
5 months.
Spoiler, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not nearly as much time as you would like it to be.
Yeah.
And I started for my usual behavior, I started way too early. Usually I'm really short on timeline. I'm on deadlines.
Yeah.
And this time I started early because I wanted this to be good.
Yeah.
And so I started in around, I cannot remember when. But at some point, someone we made a WhatsApp group, and someone said, "Okay, we have like 8 weeks left, or 9 weeks." And I was
you
like,
were like, "Sorry, what?"
Yeah. And I was like, "Okay, I better get working now."
Yeah.
yeah, and so I came up with we kind of agreed beforehand on the beauty about Frostgrave is that you can either cook up everything yourself,
Mhm.
or you can use what is already there. There are already pre-existing wonderful campaign books
supplements, yeah.
that you could you can use that have like all the weirdness in it. And we kind of agreed to use one of them, and then my typical behavior of not being able to build a Lego set straight from the box kicked in, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, we can possibly play this, but we have only so much time, and we have this and that experience level, and so I started quickly cooking up my own shit.
Yeah.
And that ended up in me trying to bring different things together and doing this what ended up being called as the Crimson Veil.
Yeah, that's something I kind of wanted to talk to you about when I was going to ask you questions about the Crimson Veil and how it all went down. Because at one point, in the very first game that we played, Simon's like, yes, there are these peasants roaming around, and they are non-player characters, and they will attack you, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, he gave us the rules. He's like, here are the rules for the peasants. And we were all like, yeah, we know what peasants are. Ah, who cares? And Simon's like, here is the profile for a peasant. We're like, they're peasants. What the fuck can they do? And then we like got in our first fights with these peasants, and they proceeded to eviscerate us. like literally these stupid peasants murdered 7 of my 10 guys. And then I got all mad. I'm like, Simon, why did you cook up these peasants? They're so formidable. And he's like, dude, I literally just lifted them from like an existing Frostgrave campaign. But what he failed to tell us is that in that existing Frostgrave campaign, they're barbarians. They're not peasants. They're peasants that hit like a Mack truck.
And you forgot that these are they're even worse. So
No. What we all forgot every single time is they had double-handed weapons. No one used that rule.
Yeah, luckily, otherwise they would have been even more deadly.
Dead, yeah. But yeah, basically what I wanted to ask was I wanted to be like, how, because like I thought that you had to pull all of this out of your butt, like make it all up from scratch, and then I wanted to understand how much of it was taken from other campaign supplements. But I don't know if now is now the best time to talk about that. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
So yeah, how did you put it together? Tell us a little more. You did say that you picked some parts, but give us a little more detail on what you picked from other supplements and whatnot.
Well, the way I started to approach this was what do I want?
Mhm.
Where do I want to go? And I'll not go into detail, but during COVID, I started something called the alignment,
Mhm.
which is also kind of a Frostgrave narrative thing.
Yep.
And because I started to think about narrative play and how much I like campaigns and how that all works together, and I was really elbows deep into Lovecraft's work by then.
Yep.
And I wrote an article in the
28 Meg?
In the 28 Meg, yes, about all that, how I try to or in my head Lovecraftian horror can be transferred on to the tabletop, not rules wise but more concept wise,
Setting.
and yeah, setting, yes. And of course, when I had this opportunity, I wanted to go back and kind of flesh out some of those ideas.
Mhm.
And concepts. So it was clear that it was going to be some eldritch horror thing going on.
Mhm.
But McCulloch, the dude who wrote Frostgrave,
Mhm.
has rules for having an eldritch horror stuff appear in your games.
Oh, good.
But he regards it pretty much from a game designer's perspective.
Mhm.
And he kind of makes up rules and fun tables to roll on and all that. But the major part of the Lovecraftian horror is that you kind of don't understand what's happening with you, and another crucial element of the cosmic horror is that humans basically don't matter. So
you're like little bugs.
whatever, yeah, they're just little bugs running around, and whatever you do, it actually has no meaning, or sometimes it has meaning, but you cannot really grasp it.
Yeah.
And I try to get into that a bit. And the first thing we in the initial group we agreed on was to play the Red King. And the Red King is a supplement for Frostgrave where McCulloch has turned the weirdness to 1000.
Nice.
Because he does not just how can I describe it best without spoiling too much? He, for example, he has rules for multi-dimensional gaming.
Ooh.
And I was really intrigued by that, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool! We're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and going to play on different levels of existence and whatnot." And at some point, sorry,
I just want to clarify. When you're saying multi-dimensional, does that mean like time as well?
yeah. Well, time is not.
Time is a flat circle.
Time is a flat circle, and time really does not. How can you do that on a tabletop? But
yeah, I was just thinking of like, here's an attack from bed at the time.
Yeah,
later on.
You go outside and play with yourself, and at some point you scream Hail Mary, and that has an effect on something that. No, well, there's probably a way to get this into on the tabletop, but long story short,
yeah,
I was very hyped, and then I came to realize that we are going to have players who will play Frostgrave for the first time.
Yep.
And trying to, or a tabletop for the first time since ages. My brother has been playing tabletop the last, I think, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So I had to acknowledge to the fact that I needed to tone down things a bit. And then I looked at how much time we had over the weekend. I eyeballed that we would hopefully have time to play 4 games.
Yeah.
So Friday evening 1 game, and during Saturday 3 games.
Yeah.
So that would leave us in 4 games with total, and then I tried to squeeze in a narrative into these 4 stages. And I thought that I wrote up lots of lore and stories to kind of give everyone a feeling of what's happening and where they are.
And you can listen to the first 2 of those stories on my YouTube channel, because they were too long to post to Instagram. I'm like, what am I going to do with these? I'm like, oh, I'll put them up on YouTube. I will still record the other ones, but I haven't yet.
And I think that was one of the best things to do on Friday evening, because we were all a little bit tired, but also all a little bit excited.
Yeah.
And the light was very dim, very moody. And to get into this whole thing deeper, you, with your lovely voice, did some great voice acting and read the story to us. And having someone read you a story is just way better than everything I had imagined. In my dreams, I had come up with something like a video thing, or getting someone to read that.
That's a lot of work.
Yes, and that was one of many things that got left behind.
Yeah.
And when you volunteered to read that story, I was so thrilled, and it worked so well to transfer everyone into the mood of the setting.
Yeah, and it's also the case that like we all have like our best intentions, but like not everyone necessarily will have made the time to read what you created. So it's a good way to make sure everyone's on the same page by just like doing it together.
Yeah.
From like a general like event planning perspective.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I'm glad you suggested it and pressed me into service.
Voluntold.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So that was the start of it. And in my planning was that the story progresses and the complexity of the scenarios would get not harder but more complex
Yeah.
the further it goes. So the first scenario should have been something really easy, and then a little bit more exciting, and then more exciting, and the end should be like the big bang.
Yeah.
Where it's like super exciting. Yeah, and
I think you did pretty well at that, because like the first one was basically like go get treasure and don't get murdered by these peasants that you're underestimating. And then we got murdered by these peasants that we're underestimating.
Yeah. And because I am really bad with math. And therefore I trusted I all the scenarios that we played were taken from one of the different supplements for Frostgrave. The first scenario was basically from the core rulebook. I just exchanged the monsters in there to fit with the monsters that would show up during our campaign.
You just changed the monsters in there to be murder machines. Yes, thank you.
Well, the scenario has white gorillas by default, which are like supermassive monster things as well.
Oh,
so
dang. Okay, I see.
I don't think that I screwed up like the balance in that much.
I'm just whining because I had 7 people die, but they didn't fully die. Like, I shouldn't complain because they didn't die forever. They just died in the game, and then they came back, some of them wounded, and I took one of the wounded guys, kicked him out of my party, and hired a bear instead, and it was amazing.
As you do.
Yeah, because in my first game, I got this like magical scroll or grimoire called Animal Companion. And I don't know if I was asking you about it, Simon, but I was asking someone about it, and they're like, nah, I don't know if that'll be that useful for you. I mean, like, you can summon a bear. I'm like, I can summon a bear? I'm summoning a bear.
Yeah, that was great. And the fun was that as I said, I'm not really good with math. I just, exchanged the monsters in there.
Yeah.
And therefore, I was as surprised by the strength of these things as anyone else.
Yeah.
But it fitted so wonderfully in this narration.
Because we're like going into this village. There's like something wrong with the civilians. There's like this red mist that's creeping down the mountain and obscuring everything. Like, it was spooky. Weren't the peasants like whispering shit or talking shit or something? Oh.
Yeah, and then suddenly dudes show up who are supposed to be easy peasy, and suddenly you run for your dear life.
You think they're easy peasy, and they wind up being lemon squeezy.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was a pretty shocking surprise. I'm like, I'm going for this treasure in the middle of the board. It's no thing. And then the murder zombies got to me.
And the fun thing is that it worked out so well, although it was not planned.
Yeah.
I wish I could claim this idea for myself, to play with the expectation of the players, to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to name this a certain way.
Yeah.
And everyone will be, oh yeah, this was going to be easy, and then everyone will be overwhelmed. This is what happened, but I did not plan for this to happen. But yeah, I'm not good at planning, and sometimes it really works out very well.
Good. Yeah, it was awesome. So I'm going to back the truck up a little bit and say that when Simon was getting surprised by his friends on Discord, I had already been thinking and scheming and planning, because I turned 40 in 2022, and my dear wife, Nora the Norn Queen, and Simon tried to collaborate to surprise me, to bring Simon over to Canada for my birthday and like not tell me and have him just like show up on our doorstep, which would have been pretty cool. But like Nora kind of spoiled the surprise, because we had this weird conversation, and I think I said to her something like, oh man, I just wish I could see Simon, or something like that. And she was like, well, actually, and then she told me, so that was awesome. But then after that happened, I'm like, ooh, can I actually surprise Simon in Germany? So first thing that happened was I was talking to your buddy Ludi about trying to paradrop into your actual birthday at the end of November.
Yeah.
But then Ludi was like, well, Simon always gets sick on his birthday. True. And we're already...
Which has happened for 3 years in a row now.
Yes. And I heard from his wife that they're also planning this other thing. So maybe like you could come in April. And I was like, oh, April? But I want to be there in November. So whatever. I started planning for the April thing and started planning with Simon's wife and got a plane ticket and showed up a few days before the event. And we actually succeeded in surprising Simon at the train station in his city. So that was pretty awesome.
That was definitely awesome. I think awesome does not really really is a fitting word.
I was just glad it worked out. Because I like surprises.
I have to admit that this that day was overwhelming.
Yeah.
I really was overwhelmed because I think it's safe to say that we are, if everything keeps on going as it is, we're going to have another kid in summer.
Yeah.
Oh,
and thank you.
Yeah, I don't think you'd mentioned that on stream.
Sorry?
I don't think you'd mentioned that previously on stream.
No, I don't think so. And so I, because, working and all that, I did not have a chance to go with my wife to the doctors and see anything on the ultrasound by now or by then. And on that day was the first time that I actually saw my kind of child on the screen. And I felt like this couldn't get any better.
Oh, we didn't even talk about that. You didn't even tell me about that when I was in Germany.
Yeah, well,
like I knew you guys were going to some appointment, but you didn't tell me how momentous it was.
Yeah, there was quite low to process.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and so that was pretty intense, and I was still kind of filled with emotions and everything.
Yeah, and literally while you're at the hospital, your wife is texting me being like, okay, we're still at the hospital. Okay, we're leaving soon. Okay, we'll be there in about this much time.
Yeah.
So you're like, isn't it beautiful? And she's like, yeah, oh yeah, totally beautiful. Yeah, definitely. Why are you so distracted?
I never said that.
No,
I don't. I don't question my wife.
I'm just imagining that. I'm just imagining that you might be like trying to have a tender moment with her, and she's trying to text me.
Well, I felt that she was distracted by something, but who am I to question?
Good thing you didn't question.
Yeah, and then she said she wanted to drop off a parcel. And I said, okay, no problem. We need to get bread anyway, and next to the bakery, there's this parcel store. And she said, no, she wanted to go to the train station.
Like, is there even a parcel store at the train station?
Yeah, on the back side.
Oh, okay.
On the back side of the train station, there's a parcel station, and I was like, okay, we drive there. And then when I was about to turn, she said, no, we drive up to the front. And I was like, what? The front? But where on earth is a parcel station up on the front? And she said, well, yeah, there's this thing that, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, yeah, well, whatever. Trust the wifey. Just do as she says. Loyal dog that I am. I just rolled up there. And she said,
happy tail wagon.
We were basically passing you by, she said afterwards.
Yeah, she saw me. So I was hiding behind the wall, and like you guys pulled up and stopped right alongside the wall. And she just looked directly at me, and I'm like, shit. But like, fortunately, when you stop your car, you don't, as a driver, you don't tend to turn and look exactly out the passenger window.
Yeah, and she was like, oh. Before that, we passed the train station, we drove by, and she said, oh, wow, look at all those weird people around here. and I said, I cannot look at people, I'm driving. Yeah, that was, and then she kind of distracted me and said, look out this window, and I looked out the window, and you were standing on the other side, and that was yeah, that was a very emotional moment, because I have, for the sake of me, not could possibly guessed that this was going to happen.
Success. Great success.
I
Absolute.
don't want to jump in, but I do, because there are some messages from
Oh,
chat.
yeah. Thank you.
So Sebastian goes, congratulations.
Thank you.
Tom Wilson says, congratulations, Simon. Symbiote Joe, as the agent of chaos that he is, has said, this is in the middle of all of his stuff, but he says, 1, 2, 3, 3 kids.
Nice. Oh, it should be, to be clear, only some people knew about this. Like Flynn didn't even know about this, but Symbio Joe knew, because like when I arrived in Frankfurt and I got the stamp, I sent him a picture. Like the passport stamp.
So, because I was like, let me, I wasn't to listen to on my way to work. I'll put on the work in progress stream. Hang on a minute. Where's the work in progress stream?
It didn't
Didn't think of anything of it.
happen. I didn't even tell those guys. I feel bad. I was like, hey guys, I can't stream this week. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. Like they're totally understanding, but I didn't explain why until after.
I was like, okay, cool. Something's happened. He's not going to tell us. Don't need to know. Cool. And go from there. So yeah.
I thought that I might do it
does-
with Simon on the Wednesday night, but I was so dead tired. Not happening.
But Symbio Joe does say one thing which I think is very good for this. Jones is acting strangely.
Yeah. Sneaky Git.
Yeah, for sure.
He was acting so strangely. He confused us all.
Yes.
And also, he does say, your wife is a gangster, Simon. Stone cold killer. Absolutely stone cold. I'm afraid of that woman.
Yes, I am.
You only have to
That's
fear
why I
her if you
married
ever
her.
cross her. As long as you don't cross her, you don't have to fear her.
Yeah, exactly.
My wife says this sometimes because we'll play board games and like, I don't know, apparently I'm a good liar, she thinks. Because like, I'll like, oh no, I'm not a werewolf. No, why would I be a werewolf? No. She's like, how are you so good at lying? But I think she's just very trusting of me. But that also makes her sometimes not trust me. At first she'll be like, oh my god, you're such a good liar. Why, like, it's unfair. You're so good at this game. And then she's like, wait, what if you're a good liar outside of the game? I'm like, no, it's only, I only use my skills for good, never evil. But I don't know.
Of course you do.
Games.
Of course you do.
Yeah, you know.
Nice.
Anyway, neither here nor there. Thank you to everyone in the comments for commenting in and sharing your congratulations. Any other comments, Flynn?
So that was because we've gone a bit, but there was like bromance everywhere from Symbio Joe. The echo has disappeared.
Nice.
Sebastian says, I can't remember where we were in the conversation, but going Death Star, baby.
Oh, that was me talking about how
something.
Sebastian like buffed all his dudes to be super powerful, and then they just like strode into the middle of the table and like fought with the big bad guys that everyone else was too scared to fight with.
Oh yeah.
Is Demon Killer Death Star. Yeah, so one of the missions was that was actually the one that I found most interesting, Simon, that it was like there was this human in the middle of the table who was about to be sacrificed by these like eldritch horrors, whatever, and you had to like go up and you had to defeat 4 of these horrors who were like holding the corners of this force field, and then once you defeated them, the force field dropped and you could attack the central horror, which was going to sacrifice the person.
Yep.
And in that one, like, I was playing against Sebastian, and Sebastian very bravely, very confidently strode into the middle of the board and buffed all his guys 1,000 times. And I was like, okay, I guess you're taking the special hammer treasure that you get for killing the people in the middle of the board. But I loved the description of Simon's brother playing Lucas playing with Matthias, where he
Yeah.
said that they were basically approaching the problem in the middle of the board as being like climate change, that both of them were talking about it, but neither one of them actually wanted to do anything about it. He's like, yeah, we were basically at the climate conference there. I'm like, climate conference? What are you talking about? We're playing Frostgrave. He's like, yeah, you know, we all had good strategies, but neither one of us wanted to be the first one to actually act and do something. I'm like, oh, that's a scary, sad, very accurate description of the situation.
Don't get me onto that today. With New Scotland are not going to hit their goals at all. Calsapre.
Ooh.
No one ever hits their
Yeah.
goals with this garbage.
Oh no, they've actually literally destroyed it because they are gone terribly the wrong way.
Like
think.
you like what is it?
I
It's
didn't even
using
bother
a lot of
looking at the
gas, or it's
article.
like mining gas or oil, or
Let me actually check. I didn't bother to look at the article because I was just like, I
is it depressed?
don't really want that today. Yeah. Everything has just been depressing.
Okay, so don't look up
Recently,
that
for
article.
me.
I don't need to know if you don't need to go there, so don't even worry about it. If I want to, I can look it up later.
Yeah.
Sorry to bring it down with the talk of climate conferences. Oh, I just thought it was funny.
I thought so too.
It's not as bad. It's half the targets. They're reduced of 75%. Is not going to be by 2030, but net zero by 20 something 5.
2085, because everyone wants to
2045.
drag their
I knew it was
heels.
40. I don't know. Will be reached, they think.
You think?
But then 75% by 2030. Won't. Not as bad, but still terrible.
Oh man. All right. Yeah, so that was how I surprised Simon. It was awesome. On the train to his place from Frankfurt, I met a guy who may be a very famous, very successful dancer slash choreographer who owns a big house in Vienna, or he might have been blowing smoke up my ass, and I totally believed him. So I don't know. Hopefully he was just a nice guy and not like some guy who's trying to game me. But that was an interesting development.
Yeah.
Well, he invited you to his place.
Yeah, he invited me to come stay in his mansion.
Maybe it was Rick Priestley disguised.
Maybe. You know, I always thought Rick was a bit of a dancer. Yeah, so that was my adventurous thing, and then I hung out with Simon and his family for a few days, and then we went away on the awesome dudes weekend.
Yes.
Dudes.
And looking backwards, I have to say that everything on this weekend worked out, which
Yeah.
is an amazing thing to say when you think about that 8 grown-up men with families and all the real life things and possibly sick kids and everything that can happen these days.
Yeah.
And everyone showed up full time. There was no one leaving early for home because someone, cut off his leg or anything like that.
Yeah.
Nothing like this. And that was plainly amazing. The place my wife chose was perfect.
Yeah, it was this crazy rambling, like, it was 3 stories. We didn't have anything on the first story. It was like the upper 2 stories, and it like you went into like a room, and then there was a room off of that room, and then another room off of that room, like this windy kind of. And then
Please look huge from your video.
however, it was definitely built with Canadians in mind and not Germans in mind.
Yes.
It was built at a time when the Germans were much smaller than they are now.
Yeah. So Benedict is, I think he's pretty much 2 meters. And
taller.
he couldn't.
I think taller than 2 meters.
I don't know, but
anyway,
he couldn't stand upright in. Well, he could stand upright in one room.
He could? I didn't think he could stand upright in any of them.
I think there was one spot where he could stand upright, so he was sitting most of the weekend.
Yeah.
That That was hilarious.
So for
Like,
anyone
when-
who's
when-
been following me and paying attention to my random bullshit, if you recognize the term Beltaloda, then Benedict is definitely a Beltaloda from The Expanse.
Oh yeah.
Tall,
Very cool.
slim, and tattooed to the hilt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just need the belter tat around his neck.
Yeah. I told him to watch the show. I'm subtly hoping that he gets the belter tat now.
Oh yeah, me too.
That would be sick.
I will talk him into that.
I'm sure it'll not be hard. He's got so many tattoos.
Yeah.
Super nice guy.
Yeah, well that was amazing. Like we did not really plan out the food, but that worked pretty well nonetheless.
Although I got
And-
a bone to pick with how you Germans handle pizza. Well, actually, we're gonna take a poll here. So starting with
wait.
Flynnhammer. What?
Can you actually do a poll on the YouTube chat? know you can
Can I
actually
do a
do those.
poll?
Yeah, you can. I
Plus,
thought I could do one as a mod,
start
but I
poll.
can't do one as a mod.
Okay. So I'm gonna explain the situation and then I'm gonna put up the poll. So I'm gonna ask you first, Flynnhammer.
Yeah.
Flynnhammer. If you're like having a party with a bunch of dudes or a bunch of friends, right? And
Mhm.
you're like, hey, let's order some pizza.
Mm-hmm.
This group of people is going to order pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Would you expect... I'm going to put this poll up while we're doing it. Oh, try not to stick my hand in something I just sculpted. Look at this technology. Group...
While you're doing it, hello, Electro Dust Bunny.
orders. How do you do them? All right, so option A, Flynnhammer, is
Mm-hmm.
many individual pizzas, or option B is, oh no, I don't want to have sunglasses, thank you, is many shared pizzas. All right, let's send this poll out there. So
Now,
let us
I
know in the
have
chat.
one-
Look at this chat. Look at this new technology we've got here. Good golly, Miss Molly. If you
Ooh.
do a group pizza order with your chums, how are you? Can I vote? How do you order? So please go into the chat right
Okay.
now, live folks.
No,
Place your
No more.
place. What?
I just want to know. We are doing these with people we actually are friends with, not people we work with, because I have got very different
People you
feelings
are
depending on
friends
the
with.
person.
People you are friends
Oh.
with. So Flynnhammer, how would you order your pizzas?
With friends, it's shared. Simple as.
So in
I-
Canada, it is also shared. And the
I
thing that I
can-
learned in Germany because like they were asking me, like I think Lucas, Simon's brother, who takes really good care of me, he was being very like insistent. He's like, Nick, which pizza do you want? Like, what pizza do you want? I'm like, I'm not troubled. I can eat anything as long as it's got like some meat and some vegetables on it. He's like, okay, so you want a vegetarian pizza? I'm like, no, we don't have to have a vegetarian pizza, but like as long as some of our pizzas have some vegetables on it, understanding that this would be done like North America, where you order a bunch of pizzas and everyone shares all the pizzas and you can try different ones and whatever. So
However,
I was probably
I
being very
understand.
obtuse from a German perspective.
now I understand the German way as well very well, because I have been shortchanged in terms of a pizza gathering.
Yeah.
Basically, I was at work. For some reason, I can't. We had basically got work had gone. Okay, your store can have free pizzas. We'd done like some regional competition. We won. Here you go, his pizzas. This was before COVID, when pizza parties were like a whole. Let's reward people properly. Basically,
Oh, Flynn, they still
I
do
had
that
a-
after COVID. I've got nurses who are
I don't know,
like,
this is
my
this is
employer
before
tries to
COVID,
give me
okay.
pizza and tell me that that's retaining me.
I know, but this was like before, where actually like it wasn't like a whole. We want to do something. This was like a whole. We had like a big event,
Yeah.
and it was like the prize for winning the event, and it was like a whole like we're giving you extra stuff while you're at the event anyway. This was just like a winner's prize thing.
Yep.
I had a meeting, like, monthly meeting, like one-to-one meetings and stuff.
Yeah.
And basically, I got stuck at the end with having to get the pizzas arrived while I was in my meeting at the beginning of my meeting. One guy basically had eaten a whole pizza to himself.
Yeah.
And it was like basically it would be like a quarter or half pizza would be for each person. And I got left with a pizza I couldn't eat because I just, for some people, it's like pineapple on pizza. For me, it's sweet corn on pizza. The texture
Wait,
is.
for you, it's
I've got to
what?
think about sweet corn on pizza.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
the
We don't tend to do corn on pizza here. That's like a Japan
Yeah.
thing.
Oh no, you've got it in the UK and everything. For me, it's a texture thing. I just don't like the textures together.
Yeah.
Flavors is fine. It's just textures for me.
Yeah.
And
You're like, why are there little giblets on my pizza? I did not order giblet pizza. I just turned it back on. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Come
cool.
back.
It just crushed it. So for me, it's just like it depends on the setting. If it's and I got screwed over because there was basically only sweet corn pizza left, and it was that.
Oh no.
And it was like, no, not doing it. And then, but I can understand. It's like it does depend on the setting. So whenever I've had to do pizzas afterwards, I will check with people what sort of pizzas they want. So if there's certain people who have to have halal pizzas or they don't eat meat at all, I will make sure I get a pizza specifically for them, like a set of pizza, but it is a shared pizza. But tell people, don't touch it until they've had what they want of it, and then you can go wild on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
So
even, like,
okay,
letting it
cool.
hold
Yeah.
enough.
Thanks for explaining that. So in your work setting, you kind of wish that everyone had ordered their own because you got shafted. But otherwise, if
yeah.
you're hanging out with friends, you guys would order many
friends.
pizzas to be shared.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, now
Save
over
women.
to Simon. Simon,
Yeah.
please defend the barbarism of your nation with their no sharing of pizza ever.
It's efficient.
Everyone gets what they want.
I see it.
Everyone gets the pizza they choose and they want. Everyone has different tastes, and some like weird little fish on
Yeah.
their things, or meat, or whatever. You just pick what you want, and then you will eat what you want. And yes, sure, you can share, but I thought about this while you were explaining your position, and we do that or we did that for my son's birthday. So when the family came over,
Yeah.
we were too lazy to cook. So we said, okay, we're going to have pizza, and we ordered pizza for everyone, so everyone could take slices.
Yes.
And we ended up with buying a shitload of pizza, an incredible amount of pizza. And we could eat pizza afterwards for 2 days because we tried to cover all the different tastes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one goes vegetarian, and one likes this more, and someone likes that more, and it's fine because it looks like it looks like someone cooked, but it is, I think, as weird as it might sound, it's not efficient. Because
Simon, why would it sound weird for you, Monsieur Germain, to be like,
yeah,
literally, you just said, this is not efficient.
yeah, I said that.
Amazing.
I
Thank you.
am going to go to chat on this because we've got two Germans with
Oh
very
wait, shall I
differing
pause the
opinions.
poll? End the poll?
Yeah,
Okay,
end the
you
poll.
have
Well,
this is
we're
your
not-
last call. If you are in the chat and you want to get your vote in for our first ever stream poll, you want to be a part of history. You get that?
I don't think we're going to get any more votes. We've got 7 people
Oh,
watching,
well,
and
goddamn.
says 7 votes.
Okay, well I'm hoping for one more. You chat. This is your option. This is your opportunity. Oh wait, this is probably delayed. So if I end it now,
Yeah.
does it end immediately, or is the ending delayed?
Yeah, it will end immediately, and it's a little bit delayed. So
Okay, so chat, this is your last chance. I'm going to give you 30 seconds, and I'm going to call it. So if anyone out there wants to revert their vote, or hasn't gotten their vote in yet, and dagnabbit, can I just say how pleasing it is to sculpt one layer of this stuff in one putty, and then sculpt the second layer in something else, so that it looks like there's flesh around these green... Oh, beautiful. Sorry. Yeah, okay.
Okay, I want to touch on what you just said there, Nick, because I have actually been doing that with my most recent conversion, and I love the idea of it. It actually shows
Like
stuff
pre-painted.
off better.
Look at
Yeah,
this.
it's brilliant. It makes it so much easier so people can see detail that you're putting into it when you take a photo later on. It's brilliant.
Read all about
Anyway,
it.
so we've actually got two Germans
Sebastian
disagreeing.
and Zimbio.
Sebastian and Symbio. Symbio
Yeah.
says, I'm reasonable. That's the first time I've ever heard that. Basically,
Reasonably chaotic.
Yeah. The barbarianism is of his people. I distance myself from that. And
Barbarism?
Sebastian goes, it's logic. Don't touch my pizza.
Yeah,
So
I can understand.
having played against Sebastian in a game of Frostgrave, and having him literally say to me, but not say to me, "Don't touch my magical hammer," I am not shocked by that response.
But I understand. We said like you've ordered so many pizza, you've got so much left over, and it might not
Yeah.
even pizza you like, so you're gonna have it
Yeah.
for those days. You're just gonna
That's a
eat
good
it.
point. That if you have
And-
differing tastes, why would you order a billion pizzas to try and match all those differing tastes? Just make people order their own. I guess some people would
And
say
even
they
if you-
can't eat a whole pizza, but I don't know.
Yeah, I know we've got.
well,
the option
then
of going, like,
there's
half
no
off.
harm saying that and being like, hey,
Somebody wanna
I'm not
share.
so hungry. Would you like to share or would you
Yeah,
like to
yeah.
split? That happens.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
your friend Matthias took pity on me and was like, "Oh, Nick, you want to try my pizza?" And I was like,
Yeah.
Okay.
"Yeah, I'd love to try your pizza. Here, have a slice of mine." He's like, "Oh, no. There's no way I could possibly finish this pizza. You just take it." And I'm like, "Okay, thank you."
But what size pizzas were you getting?
They said
That's the
large,
main
but they're a North American medium at most.
Okay, because then North American is, I think, a medium. How many inches? Because that's what I kind of need to know for it.
So what were they, 12, Simon? They weren't 14, I don't think.
Yeah, something like
Yeah,
that.
that's about a large here as well. Yeah, but that was that for each individual person.
Oh, you poor
Yeah.
little hobbits with your tiny little pizzas.
No, because that's 2 portions of a pizza.
Well, to be fair, they are getting to
Well,
be
then if
these
that's what you're
fancy
eating-
pizza places here that's probably an extra large at those.
Yeah, but that's what I was just wanting to make sure, because I like certain
Well-
not to be named pizzerias. They have like they sell personal pizzas, which are basically about like 4 inches or something like that.
Ooh,
Like,
tiny.
or 8 inches. I can't remember.
I just thought more on this, surprisingly much, thinking about pizza. But
Important
I
topic.
think if you would want to kind of do a share thing,
Mhm.
then what you can do is you can order at pizzerias here. You can order like not single round pizzas, but you can order large I don't know the word for that, tables, like
You can get half and halves.
no, they're covered in a they they consist of a large square that is
Yeah.
cut into smaller squares,
Yeah.
all
Mhm.
just pizza dough and pizza ingredients.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
these pizzas are designed to be, eaten by many people.
Do
So
they
you
have
have
like
not
different
just
toppings on different parts?
Oh, I get what you're saying. They're chef actors.
you can do that, or it really depends on what you get, because we when I worked at Games Workshop, we also had, I think, one pizza night where I was partaking, and they ordered at at a pizzeria. They announce that they're going to order, for an event or something like that, and then they got these huge things.
So
and then
in North
they're-
America, we
they're-
call that a party pizza, a big square pizza, like huge.
Yeah.
That's called like a party size pizza. So larger than an extra large, square slices, big rectangle.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something you would do if you want to split or share the pizza.
But I think normally on the party pizzas, it's usually, I don't know if you can get that much like variety, like change up toppings on different parts. All the ones I see are just like pepperoni all over or cheese all over, but that's maybe because they just want it to be like basic
Yeah.
flavor.
No, as far as I know, here you can get, all the regular pizzas just in large.
Yeah. Okay, people have had way too much time with this poll. End poll.
Yeah.
And I feel happy ending it because the choice was many shared pizzas. But now I do understand the order individuals, and I do see the value of it when like you have different people with different dietary preferences, the restrictions, whatever it is, and being able to accommodate that without forcing everyone to eat gluten-free pizza.
I thank you for not being so typical American.
But he's not even American.
Assuming that your way is the only way and is the right way to deal with things.
We're the next door neighbors of the Americans. We have to deal with that a lot. We get it.
Yes, I know.
I know. I would joke.
It's also a stereotype.
Yes.
There are many fine Americans in this chat probably right now who would not do that. And they don't like being painted with the brush of their most obnoxious countrymen.
Yeah.
I was
Americans,
just saying that
they're just like the rest of us.
Stupid as anything. And I mean that about myself.
Simon?
No, don't worry.
So we were supposed to talk about Crimson Veil, and now we're talking about pizzas.
Which is fine.
Anything in the chat about pizzas, Flynn?
Super Joe, family pizza.
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah,
that's
family
another
pizza,
name for it. Yeah.
Sebastian, they always ordered a truckload of pizzas at those GW meetings. I'm guessing Sebastian also worked at GW with you then.
Yeah. He was a so-called captain, a region leader.
What was he? Was he the master of the fleet?
No, he was a captain.
That's the joke I'm trying to make with the Space Marines. They have like the.
Yeah, but while we're talking about Sebastian, he was without him, this whole weekend would have run completely different.
Oh right, yeah. Okay, so the cool thing was that so many people contributed so many different parts to this weekend. Simon came up with all the narrative. He created a lot of the miniatures, but there were a lot of other contributors like Sebastian. Simon?
Yeah, and I think we need to reevaluate our podcast.
I think Sebastian said, did he say to me that he listened? Oh, maybe it was Zebo who was saying that he listened to our podcast about 3D printing. Yeah, me and Simon had a tough guy talk about 3D printing. Oh, I don't know, man. Oh, blah, art, blah. And then we rocked up to this Frostgrave event, the Crimson Veil that Simon hosted. And Sebastian had printed like some freaking amazing boards. Like he'd printed basically a whole like rambling. There was like this Mordheim event that happened recently where like one of the participants made this huge like castle board where like the road led up to like over a bridge, like to a castle gate. Sebastian basically printed all that and in like a version of all that, and it was so cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
It added an incredible amount of flair and flavor.
Yeah, like oh wait, I've got this picture up here and I haven't done anything with it. So oh wait, I'm trying to go through Simon's posts because he has some pictures of this stuff. But you got to capture the scale. Like this is another board that Sebastian printed, which had like kind of rivers and like docks and like this hill section. And like this one was super impressive, and yet it was like the least impressive of the super impressive boards that he brought. Oh, there's me being a narrator. But in front of me, you can see this kind of like Osgiliath kind of ruined city. It's all printed. It's all printed and painted by Sebastian and his son. There's Simon walking his guys along the river thing. Okay, maybe it's not in this one. Oh, here. Okay, so you can see that miniature in the background, and you can see these steps going up under this huge bridge. Like, you can see the scale of this. This is all prints, and it was amazing.
Nick, can you just clarify which conversation you're on about? You're on about when I know we had our...
What?
Tyranid conversation about 3D prints, or I know you had the
No,
other
the
video
one
with
that
Simon.
me and Simon we did like a deep thought thing
Yeah,
together.
that's what I want to make sure. I want to make sure so if other people listening know exactly which one you're referring to.
Yeah, so it's the one where it was just me and Simon, and it was like a deep thought episode, and it was talking about how like printing versus sculpting and that kind of stuff. But if you need super huge, awesome, like this is a close up on my Pope. He looked like a Pope miniature. He was my Inquisitor, Lexian the Just, and the wall behind him is printed. I mean, if you look close, maybe you can see step. Okay, down by the edge of the model, you can see some stepping like up close, but that's super zoomed in. Like it was not noticeable.
But when we talk about printing and your Inquisitor was printed as well.
Exactly. Oh shit. Yeah. Right. So okay, I'll get to that in a second. I'm just trying to see if I can get more of the like scenery. So here's some really great pictures that Simon took that are very like cinematic and very like captures the atmosphere. There's part of that busted down bridge going through the bottom of that picture. That
bridge, man, that was so freaking awesome because it had a great story to it already, and B, it usually when you have like when you have a bridge, you have these massive bridge. How you call them? Pillars.
Yeah. Or like, are they curved? Because a curve is like a buttress.
No, the one it is standing on.
Oh yeah. It's the pillars are. Oh man, my dad would inspect bridges for a living and take me with
structures. I can't remember the name of it.
They're called weirs.
Weirs.
I'm pretty sure each one is called a weir, like W-I-E-R.
No, that's where water is flowing out from a river on the side of it. That's a weir.
I think you're mistaking them. I think you mistake that with a brother weirs.
No. Is it an abutment? No, I don't think it's an abutment. I've got all these bridge terms circling in my head because of my father's work. I can't place.
Brothers weir spell it the same way as a weir.
No, but they're brothers weir pronounce it wire. If you ever hear them on their podcast, they're like, we're the like wire, like I'm Greg Wire. They don't say weir. I screw that up for so long, but they say wire.
We continue.
Anyway, what usually would be a massive footprint in on a gaming table with basically dead space.
Yeah.
Because nothing would happen there. You suddenly had here with stairs up there, and there's a hallway running through these pillars. I'm calling them pillars now.
Yeah.
And there was a hallway running through this area. That was insane because there was still so much playability to that. And if I recall it correctly, Sebastian said that these were designed for with having what was it called, Dungeons and Dragons in mind.
Yeah. Here's a picture of Sebastian with the bridge the ruined bridge that Simon's talking about.
Yeah, that terrain that was freaking amazing. And the first day when we arrived, he put stuff on the table, and he had this massive bridge castle piece there.
Yeah, I was so disappointed because he got that out, and I'm like, we're gonna play on this, we're gonna play on this, we're gonna play on this. And then he like took it apart, and he's like, no, I don't think we're gonna use that. We'll do this configuration. And then in the final match, I'm like, no, where's that giant castle bridge that you set up the first night? I want to fight on that. But I will.
Yeah,
I kind of recreated.
So that was amazing to have someone print so much stuff, and that is part of the beauty of a campaign weekend, that everyone can contribute with what they enjoy, with what they are good at, with what resources they have, and
Symbio Jose, including child labor.
Including child labor, yes.
Hey, listen, I made us vegetables so that we didn't all die of scurvy. That's what I contributed. These guys made a giant table full of meat. And I was like, Simon's like, we're having a barbecue. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get some vegetables. He's like, vegetables for a barbecue? Okay, I'm going to leave you in charge of that. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you bought some, what was it, asparagus?
Asparagus, zucchini, sweet potato, Was that it? Onion. I think that was it. I should have got red onion, but oh well.
I think Matthias appreciated the peppers, but at the point that
Oh yeah, sweet
that
peppers.
was the veggies were done, I was done already.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yes, it was. The food was great. Yeah, and what was also pretty great was that Matthias sponsored 2 war bands.
Yeah, so Matthias was my warband sponsor. I can I think that's in this post. So yeah, he made this awesome Witch Hunter warband. And as Simon mentioned, these are all printed, but like I find with some like 3D sculpts, 3D prints, like I grew up in Games Workshop proportions. I know there are other proportions out there. My brain sets to Games Workshop proportions. They make me happy. So when I saw these were like basically in Games Workshop Mordheim proportions, I was pretty happy.
Yeah,
Even though they were prints. And he painted them as well. He did a very good job. And yeah, you'd be hard pressed to tell that they were prints.
yep. Only when you let them drop on the ground.
Oh yeah, I broke one of them. Did I break 2? I think I only broke 1. He didn't fall on the ground. He was rolling around inside a castle. Matthias said it was okay because that was pretty fluffy for him to be rolling around inside a castle. Yeah. So here's my dudes. And then these are the peasants, quote unquote peasants that wrecked me. Look at them killing 4 dudes there and including Ripper, the dog. Oh. It was the end of my first match where I only had these 3. Fortunately, my apprentice was still alive. So if my wizard died, I could promote my apprentice to wizard. But other than that, I just had like 2 random foot soldier dudes. But then we moved on and we added a bear for my game with Simon. Also printed terrain here, pretty cool. With Simon's non-printed altar in the middle there. And then yeah, this was with Sebastian.
So how did it work out for you to play a warband that someone has kind of made up for you?
Well, it was cool because like fortunately in Frostgrave, the war gear is not that complex, and you don't get that much of advantage picking this guy over that guy. He did give me, like, Matthias and I were corresponding by email beforehand. Oh, in this picture you can see Benedict there, the Beltalora, having to squat to stay under the roof, but there's a lot of tall men here who are not very happy. Yeah, so I spoke to Matthias and he's like, would you rather play this? Would you rather play this? Would you rather play this? And I like the idea of the witch hunters because I feel like witch hunters are very like Mordheim. And he sent me a picture and I got to see pictures of them. And it was cool that he made, I really appreciated him making the warband for me, but also like speaking to me about like what I was interested in for the warband. So he didn't just pull something out and go, here you go, blah. He was like, okay, like, what do you want? What are you interested in? I'm like, this? And he's like, okay, well, how about this? And like, I made their spells like this. So it was cool. I really appreciate it. And there's some more of, you can see Sebastian's amazing printed terrain here behind this big monstrosity that Simon created. That's the like bridge to castle section, and it was really cool. And then here are the vegetables that we roasted as proof of vegetables.
Just to make the Norn Queens happy.
Yep. Yeah, so Simon, did you want to talk about your you showed them on like the previous stream, but did you want to talk about your special monsters that you created?
Yeah. I took notes when I read the stuff that McCulloch did, so the author of Frostgrave.
Yeah.
What he does with Frostgrave, when you look into the bestiarium of the initial game, you are drowned by possibilities.
Yeah.
Like there's so many different types of monsters that can show up. And these monsters are one of the crucial elements that make Frostgrave so much fun. Yeah. Because when you play, you usually just play against your opponent. And it is like either who is the smartest, who has
like
the
if you're
best
playing
strategy.
Another miniature game.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in Frostgrave, you always have to count in that there are monsters that can show up, and I always see that these can be somewhat of for on the one side a great narrative element.
Mhm.
For example, my thief went down to a statue to steal a treasure that was laying below the statue's feet, and it was one
Oh.
of my eldritch horror. Damn it, my
Yeah, Eldritch
what
Horror.
did I?
Yeah.
Yes, my solstice statues
Yeah.
turned into. Oh no, it was another statue that I made, and it kind of looked like a frog. And then he stole the treasure. And whenever someone picks up a treasure, you roll if there's a random monster showing up, and they usually walk in on the board on any side of the on a random determined board edge.
Yeah.
And I was unlucky enough that the board edge this monster came in was my very side. So my thief was standing there, the treasure in his hands, and suddenly this huge, massive monster walks up from behind him,
Yeah.
and that was a frog, like a massive frog. It looked like the deity.
Like when you rolled
was
for it, you
robbed.
got a frog?
Yes,
Amazing. Right in
I
front
got
of
a
the frog
monster.
statue. Amazing.
Yeah, that was spot on. And so in Frostgrave, you have these monsters would show up, and they have these this interesting way of having the game suddenly become asymmetrical.
Yeah.
Um, because at first you play against your opponent, and suddenly you play against the game and your opponent at the same time.
Yes.
And
Or you can, like, the thing that I realized, because this was only like my second time playing Frostgrave, I think, you can get to a point where you're facing your opponent, you're facing your opponent, you're facing your opponent, and like bad enough, scary enough monsters show up, and you and your opponent decide to just like ignore each other and just murder some monsters. Like
that's
what
what I did in
happened.
my first game
Me
that I
too.
played with my brother.
Yeah, that's what I did in my first game when I played with your brother as well, your other brother, because they were so murdery that we were just worried about them stopping us from getting our treasure that we basically ignored each other.
Yeah. And that was a pretty, actually, at least for me and my brother, that was a great gaming experience because, brothers can tend to fight over things pretty,
Yeah.
harsh.
Yeah.
And suddenly playing a game, we didn't play together, but he was new to the game, and I could kind of give him some hints what he could do, and
Yeah.
we almost played together a game that we ought to play against each other.
Yeah.
That was a great moment.
Like you were almost collaborating.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was shit.
I did not fully collaborate with Lucas, to be clear. I totally mind controlled one of those monsters and sent it his way, so
good. He's the smartest of us, and he does not need anyone to collaborate with him.
Okay.
Just so you guys know, if you didn't read it out, Sebastian has had to leave.
Oh, good night,
Okay.
Sebastian. Yeah, it's pretty late.
Enjoy their time.
Thanks for joining us, sir. Well, I don't know if he's going to watch
Yeah.
this after, but glad to have him.
So that was one thing. And when I started off with, when you look at Frostgrave, you have all these different monsters, but what McCulloch does in the scenario books is that he limits the monsters that can appear down to very few, so you are actually able to reuse the miniatures you've built. Like in the first book, the Thaw of the Lich Lord, you just have all these weird undeads, and that's very easy if you have a couple of them painted up, and you can reuse them for different games. So I try to have this concept also being worked into things. So at first I kind of had foot soldiers, which were the Crimson Marked, which were former peasants, now crazed
Murder machines, crazed murder zombies. Approach at your own risk. Sorry, I'm still dealing with a little bit post-traumatic stress.
Yeah, so I had them, and then we had well, for the different scenarios, there were different requirements, and the one you talked about were the there was an altar in the middle, and we had these hags who kind of stole a duke and his family, and were about to sacrifice them. And I sadly never got around to build the sacrifices, but I built the hags, which I happen to have with me here.
Nice.
Surprise! So these were the hags, which were upscaled miniatures.
Printed?
Sorry?
Friend printed them for you, right?
Yes, they were printed, and they had these weird, ugly faces, and I liked those initially, but I wanted them to be more eldritch, and make absolutely clear that they are otherworldly abominations, and so I gave them these weird balls I glued to the head, and then I covered everything in a red cloth, and there you go, the red veil.
There you go.
Here's a theme. So these were standing in the center, threatening the victim to be hammered with their hammer.
Yeah, and the creepiest thing for me was that they didn't do anything. They just stood there, doing nothing and looking ominous until we dropped the force field, and then wouldn't they only attack if attacked or something?
Yes,
but they each had this magical hammer. Like there was only one in each game, and we had 4 games going on at once, but they had this magical hammer, and you really wanted the hammer because it gave you like all this gold, and then you got this like magic item. So
yeah,
it was basically like, go fight that silent sentinel thing that's huge and standing there and ignoring you. So that's what Sebastian did while I sat around and did nothing. Well, I tried to get my own little tiny treasures.
Yeah, that thing had, like, those hags had all the weird rules, and I feel like they died pretty quickly because they were standing and doing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that they should have fought back or something, or I don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's supposed to work like that in the initial rule set.
Did you get them from? You took them from a scenario?
Yes.
Was it a similar thing where they're like sitting there and then you have to like lower the force field?
Yes, it was basically the same.
Okay, gotcha.
I just renamed the units and everything, but the structure was like as it is.
Okay.
Yeah, and those force field generators were those dudes, which I absolutely love, because I was about to buy. Now here's the thing: when you build stuff for one game, that's fine. I'm absolutely fine with that, to build whatever for one game. But if you have to build it for at least three boards, that's a complete different story.
I didn't even think about that you're making NPCs times 4.
Yes.
Oh God.
And then suddenly everything becomes weird. I was planning for the miniatures of the Crimson Mark to look in a certain way.
Yeah.
And I was looking into what miniatures I could use and all that. And then I became aware that I needed one scenario. It said you need at least 8 or more
per table.
So I count per scenario, and then I was like, yeah, 8 or 10, or let's make it 12 so we have splendid. And then I was like, okay, but we need that for 4 tables.
Yeah.
So this is a suddenly completely different number.
Yeah.
So I was so thankful for Zebo and Sebastian jumping in and saying, okay, I have this Patreon running, I have STL files from that company here and there, and they started looking into things and throwing ideas at each other. And I just could sit there and was like in a kid in a candy store with unlimited pocket money, being like, okay, these look amazing, like the hags. Like I said, does any one of you have hags or something? And they said, yeah, we have this, we have that, we have this. And I was like, okay, let's take this one. But how large is it? Yeah, it's that size. Yeah, can you make it larger? Yes, I can, no problem. Okay, great. So we have this sorted out. So we're looking now for something that should fill in this role. And everyone came up with ideas like, we could use this, we could use that. And Sebastian showed me then these, and I said, yes, they look fantastic, but can you make them larger? And he said, yeah, of course, larger is no problem. Let's make them larger, because they are compared to a regular miniature, they needed to be larger. I wanted them to be like, I don't know, small giants or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so they printed them. I did a very quick paint job, and suddenly I had 12 of those. No, 12, even more.
4 per table, 16.
Yeah, suddenly standing here, and that was phenomenal. Of course, still a lot of work to paint them all, but
Yeah.
that was super quick. And while we were talking about NPCs, there was one thing that I used. I was looking around for monsters to go with the end boss,
Yeah.
and remembered that I had these Death May Die miniatures from the board game. From
What is that?
Cool
Goat
Mini
of the Woods or something?
Yeah, the Shupnigarot
Yeah.
and the young dark younglings.
Yeah.
I think they're called.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I luckily had just the exact amount of them, and just spray paint, Zenithal primer, and few coats. And these were the ones that I built for the last scenario.
Oh, these guys were so cool. Oh,
the
you wiggled
key
your
to
cable.
Nihiloth.
The key of Nihiloth is actually causing 5th member issues right now. You can't actually put that thing on screen. It's too powerful. It's messing with your camera.
I think so. Well, you can see how tall it is. So it's about 15 centimeters high.
And Simon did such a good job of like hiding these things so that no one saw them until the final event. And of course, I had already seen them because he was working at them on stream.
Yeah. I wanted to explain my idea for them 2 weeks ago. No, yeah, was it 2 weeks? Yes, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you said, well, maybe you keep it to yourself. Maybe someone sees it. I was like, okay. Well,
yeah, that was our
whatever.
last stream.
These are basically from Bestiario miniatures, these legs and these arms. And this thing on top is tinfoil covered in damn it,
Talcum powder?
oven clay.
What? Oh,
Fimo.
Yep.
Oven clay, and the weird bulbs up there are the recipe that Marco told us he had seen being used of PVA glue and talcum powder.
Yep.
And I used that to glue some balls from these little parcels from the Corona tests, COVID tests.
Oh yeah, those ones. Yeah.
There's balls
that
in the
we all
Corona
collected.
test?
Sorry?
Why are there balls in the Corona test?
What's that called? Those things that you find in packages
Silica.
to keep things dry?
Silica,
Yes.
But doesn't
Silica.
that... Oh, I know. I guess it doesn't absorb paint. Yeah, someone mentioned those as a really good thing for Nurgle. You put some silica beads in like a puddle and it looks like bubbles, like Nurgly bubbles.
Oh, that's right.
One thing about Bestiarum, now we are completely not sponsored by this. I messaged Simon earlier yesterday actually about it. That print Simon has got right now, Bestiarum Dame's got a Kickstarter for getting physical prints from them. So go to Kickstarter, look for if you want to try and get anything like that. but it was in case someone who didn't have a 3D printer liked the look of the stuff. Have a look. We're not sponsored in any way. That's why
I have
they're
seen
not
no
getting a link.
money from Bestiarum.
Nope.
No money.
I saw them. I've grabbed some stuff for myself because even though I don't have a 3D printer, I want that stuff for later.
I think
it's a good deal.
Sebastian's war band was from Bestiarum. He was saying.
Yeah, he's a big fan.
He had like it was like was it Dead Souls slash
Dark
Thing? Dark Souls slash what's that new one they made?
Elden Ring.
Elden Ring. It was
Sekiro.
all kind of like out of Elden Ring, Dark Souls stuff.
It's very Dark Souls-esque. Bloodborne, that sort of
Bloodborne
thematic. They look really great for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they've got loads of different other ones.
Simon?
Another thing that I did was make this, which can be
the
seen.
map. We didn't really use it that much.
No, but it was great fun to do.
You put it up on the wall, and I thought it was really pretty, and then we didn't really do anything with it.
Yeah, that was when I was from the very early stages when I wasn't sure if we were going to do a map-based campaign.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that we didn't. Just on a looking backwards.
Because
yeah.
Why are you happy that we didn't?
Because having a map can be great if you're all veterans and you know the game inside out and you need something like a game next to the game. You can because the map phase is on a campaign always interesting or meaningless. And if it's meaningless, you can leave it away.
Yeah.
So you have to think about how to interact with a map, or if you have an empire that grows, or if you have your warband traveling from here to there, but then there has to happen something. Otherwise, it's, as I said, completely meaningless.
Yeah.
So it basically helped me to find out a shape of where things happen. And when I wrote the lore, it was great to go back and see, and at some point I tried to come up with all those names, put them down, and then I went back and thought, okay, here's a castle, and where could things happen? Now here's like this. I drew this weird little tree, so maybe there's something there, and so on and so forth.
Cool.
It was great fun because I experimented with something that I've seen before. On Instagram, people use rice with that. They just pour rice on a and just trace the rice that has fallen down. They sometimes you shift it a bit, but this is not rice. These are sunflower seeds, but it worked amazingly well.
Good.
Basically the same idea.
Yeah, that was it. So if you want to hear the story of all that, you have to wait a little and see if you can nudge Mr. Pink into uploading at least the next part.
Oh, the rest of the lore.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got it all on my phone. It's just that the second one, we shot it in a couple of segments. I think we had to like stop and like explain rules and then go on or something. So it wasn't easy, just like wham bam, upload the mam. It was like, oh, I got to go in and edit this. Okay, well, that'll be done later. And then I got excited about playing games. And listen, creating video content is work. And I often think that like I'm going to go to an event and I'm going to like totally document everything. But like when you're actually trying to enjoy the event and like play in the game, you don't have as much time for it as you
think. Maybe next year we meet up for that. Maybe not.
What?
Maybe we all meet up at Salute next year, or maybe not.
I feel like I've not heard enough exciting things about Salute to want to travel to the UK for it. Sure, it's very good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm just using that as an idea. Maybe we do a different one.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna. My goal is to go to Adepticon next year.
Ooh. You want to finish those birds for that?
Cookies.
Birds? Oh, the Kroot?
The cookies.
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't want to. I don't want to play. Like, I want to go to Adepticon for the first time just to like experience it.
Oh, okay.
Like, just rolling
Okay.
around and seeing shit. I might try and run a sculpting session. Like, Valbjorn did one this year, and God, who was in it? Was it that Kroot guy was in it? I think that Kroot guy was in it. And oh no, maybe it wasn't that Kroot guy. Maybe it was Ironbeak. One of them was in this session with. Oh no, it wasn't. It was Hive Market Minis, who just finished his awesome Scumathon event. He
Yeah.
was in a sculpting session with Valbjorn, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool!" I wanted to see if I could do a session at Adepticon, and he was like, "Why don't you just ask Valbjorn?" And Valbjorn's super kind, and so I reached out to him, and he was like, "Yeah, just contact this guy, tell him that you're interested, and you can see about it." So I have not contacted that guy yet.
Oh, so you want to give a sculpting session?
Yes, like be
So
the
you-
instructor.
Okay. Ooh.
Like bare bones,
That's-
getting started with green stuff. Green stuff is not scary session.
Nice.
Spoilers. Yeah, to be honest, actually, yeah, that's the number of YouTubers I've seen talking about sculpting with green stuff, and they're like, "It's not the easiest," and it's just like, it's
Also not the hardest.
It's not the hard. No, but it's that they make it out to be like it's a you have to have so much experience before you can
Nope.
attack it, and it's
Lies.
just like it's yeah. We use
All
it
they
all
have
the
told
time.
you have been lies.
They're lying to you. They're lying to you because they want you to think that they're super talented and that you need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to get them to sculpt something for you rather than do it yourself with a few simple tips.
It's just
Wait, thousands? I have been way underpaid here.
hang on a minute. I actually don't charge for my stuff.
Flynn will sculpt stuff for you for free.
No, you pay me in like yeah, just get me a drink, or my brother's case, or you drive me to this place.
Lucky. Anyway, yeah, so I'm hoping to go to Adepticon and
Cool.
hopefully give
Yeah.
a sculpting tutorial session to fun people who want to not be afraid of.
That's cool.
Get them to pay for our tickets as well.
I need my minions.
Yes.
Ooh.
And we can't forget the Agent of Chaos, as well as the Working Wednesday guys.
Well, the Work in Progress Wednesday guys are like more likely to actually be there because they live down the street. Not quite down the street, but they live in the same country and kind of the same region other than Kajan, who lives in a different country.
Speaking of which, they've now moved to Milwaukee for next
Yeah,
year.
so apparently it's not that far. I looked it up on a map. It's really not that far. And people explained it to me that where it was before was not Chicago. It was Schaumburg, which was like a place outside of Chicago. And I actually had like hotel booked for Adepticon 2020 when we were going to do the Kroot thing before COVID put the kibosh and all that. So yeah, Schaumburg is not. It's not near. It's not. It's the outskirts of Chicago, and I don't even know if it's near the airport. Or that close to the airport. One would hope that it was, but people have said that getting to Milwaukee is just taking a train from the airport to Chicago and then taking a train from Chicago to Milwaukee. Or because a lot of the people who responded are American, renting a car and driving. Like 2 hours or something? Hour and a half?
Or if you're from outside of America, you just get a plane to Milwaukee.
Well, I don't know that Milwaukee's a huge hub, and O'Hare is a big huge hub. Like Chicago is a huge hub.
I'm pretty
I've
sure
been
it would
there.
be, seeing as they have
It
a
is.
baseball team.
What's that, Flynn?
Seeing as they've got a baseball team of the Milwaukee Brewers, I'm pretty sure they'll be big enough.
I don't know, man. Like Major League Baseball, like there's a lot of places in the United States that have teams. Does that really make them that big? Maybe you're right.
Quite a few. There's not even 50 teams. It's like
I
5
am
teams,
not
30
the guy
teams.
to talk to about baseball, so
There's 30 teams. There are 30 major league teams. Most of them are all in big cities, or they're located near a big city. Yeah, it will be easy to get to.
yeah, potentially. But I've kind of like my experience traveling in Germany just now has kind of made me rethink short haul flights. We have less reliable, less extensive train infrastructure in Canada, certainly. We have some, but very little. But I was just really impressed that I didn't fly into Simon City, but I was able to get a plane to Frankfurt. And then from Frankfurt, I was booked onto a train like with my Lufthansa ticket. So it was kind of like a connecting quote unquote flight, but it was a connecting train. And it was super smooth. They even like brought my luggage to the train station so that I was late for my train because I was waiting for my luggage in the airline terminal like a chump. And then when I asked, they're like, "Oh, of course, we forwarded it on to the train station. Go pick it up at the train station right where you catch your train." I'm like, "You guys are too efficient." So now I've got an open mind towards trains, and I'm more interested in maybe taking a train from Chicago to Milwaukee than getting another plane. We'll see.
Trains are more fun.
Agreed.
Yep.
You can see things.
Yeah. You can meet
Yeah.
weird dance guys who may or may not be
For
rich.
sure. For sure. Yeah.
All right. I'm getting to the end of my epoxy sculpt and and Simon's video is getting to the end of its tolerating our bullshit. Let's see Flynn, what's going on in the chat?
Basically, only one thing more new from Mall Ninja 379. I'm not super confident in my sculpting ability, so most of my builds don't. And I've got the little heart bit in the way. I think he's trying to say use it.
Mm-hmm.
I've got that little bit of the heart bit. Yeah, use it. That's
Oh,
a
yeah, I
good
got the
thing
same.
because you have a whole series of how to sculpt on this very much
Yeah,
channel.
Mall Ninja, you're clearly subscribed. I hope you're checking out my sculpting tutorials because it's not that bad if you've got a couple of simple tips. And one of my simplest tips is don't try and sculpt an entire miniature from scratch because that's a buttload of work. Start off like connecting pieces to other pieces or replicating textures that you're getting pretty familiar with rather than trying to like sculpt entirely from scratch.
Good point. I am pretty happy how this little toad turned out.
Good.
I was not expecting to get this far today.
I just basically glued my guy's body together and filled in the gaps and didn't do anything else and then went and sculpted 2 scenery. So I'll need to get back to him.
Which is great. But oh Jesus, I need to hit the sheets.
Yes, it's late. I didn't realize quite how late it was. Well, Simon, thanks for telling us about... Oh, one thing. Quickly before you go. If you had to do Crimson Veil all over again for your next event, are there 3 quick things that you learned that you thought you would revise or do differently next time?
Yes. Start with the miniatures early, yeah?
Yeah.
2, start with a booklet earlier.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to...
and then you did 2. So for your third one, you need to do like a Roman character or something to be completely... or a shape.
There you go.
3.
Yeah.
I completely understand why in the campaigns written by McCulloch, the last scenario has always felt a little bit off.
Yeah.
Because it is so hard to pull off a cinematic, epic, exciting, but also playable last scenario.
Ah.
I eyeballed everything in the last scenario, and I wrote it the very day that we took off. And
we
so
drove to the location.
Yes, we drove to the location. So nothing had been planned. I had like an image or like a show how I would like to be in my head.
Yep.
But there was zero play testing. There was nothing to try it out or to calculate if it even makes sense. We at some point just started to re-evaluating if we could, if it actually works as I thought it should. And having a like the cinematic last stand, or like having a supermassive monster destroying everything and all that, that is so hard to make to work.
Yeah, with the game mechanics, you mean?
Yes. And I felt like this was just like the opening scene for something else to happen. And suddenly this last scenario kind of loses its importance, because when you're still in the sequel, it's not as important how it works out and all that. And especially with the last Prospector Stargrave campaign we played, in the end, there was like no description of what this final thing was and how it's supposed to interact and what it meant to be, and it was just like
Make it
we
up?
kind of felt left alone with that.
Okay.
And now I absolutely understand why he added this this box where he explained that you could keep on playing this story and make up your own things, and gave ideas for story hooks and all that, instead of concluding everything. And I was very bewildered, almost a bit angry about that. But now I absolutely understand why he did that.
Oh, okay. Because he has one ending in mind, potentially, but it might not be the best ending. And instead of being like, no, my ending is canon, he's like, oh, well, you know, this is where this scenario finishes, but you could do more.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Great. Awesome. Well, thank you for telling us all about it, and for telling us about like what you might consider doing differently next time. If I had to suggest one thing you should do differently next time, it would be staple the campaign booklets and put page numbers on them. Because goddamn, because you very helpfully printed off all this stuff, and God bless your school printer for assisting with that. But you printed off all this great stuff, but the problem was we had it in like piles, and people were like moving it around and taking out pages, and people were like, where did this page go back into that page? And yeah, if you're planning an event, if you're planning a narrative event and you're making a campaign booklet, put page numbers on that sucker and staple it. Just at least staple it in like the top corner, because it got a little frustrating.
Yep.
And Simon was like, what the hell? Why are you people taking my papers and putting them everywhere? I gave you everything. You should have it all. And we're like, yeah, I've got everything, but I seem to be missing a page.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was a learning experience.
Definitely was.
Yeah. Anyway, I had a great time. I was so happy that I was able to not only coming to see you in Germany would have been enough for me, but like coming to see you in Germany and having this huge event to be a participant in, I felt very, very lucky. So thanks for including me, even though I ambushed you.
I was very, very lucky to have you.
Great. And Flynnhammer, thank you so much for going over your experiences at Salute. That was really good to hear about.
Yeah, that was good to share it. More Ninja, I want to put one last bit in there. More Ninja telling us, yeah, he definitely needs to rewatch your videos. And I would suggest to anyone, definitely rewatch them, because they're little bits that you will pick up again watching it a second time that you didn't pick up first time. Like using Nivea.
Yeah.
So smart. Good. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us for the stream. Get out there and tell everyone that there always has been female custodies, and if they got a problem with that, they should kick themselves in the nuts.
Yep. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Diana was probably in the chat somewhere saying that, and we missed it. But
drop a comment as well.
Please drop a comment on this if you're watching it after the fact. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. I always forget to do that to the channels that I like, so here's your reminder to do it to this channel if you enjoy it. And we'll look forward to talking to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.